Hey boys and girls, there's gonna be a clone N64 system coming out. But it's built by Hyperkin and uses emulation. Skip it up and that up. So I saw this on LinkedIn yesterday. Andrew Steele, who is the product manager over at Hyperkin, showed off an N64 clone that Hyperkin was working on. And it's called the Retron Ultra Premium. Now you're going to see some gameplay here. He shows off Mario Kart, GoldenEye running on there, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, so on and so forth. And it looks pretty good. It's going to run at 720p. It's going to come with a third-party Hyperkin controller, which looks like the original N64 controller. And okay, and I'm thinking to myself, maybe they're using some new kind of system on a chip or something like that. Hopefully something different than emulation. But no, it's using emulation. Yeah. Now, what's interesting is there's a YouTuber who has a wealth of programming knowledge because he's built emulators from the ground up. He knows what he's talking about, called Modern Vintage Gamer, who actually in detail discussed this Retron Ultra 64 that's coming out. And he kind of has pretty good feelings about it, but mixed as well. And there's things that he noticed because, well, actually someone in a forum noticed, who has an eagle eye, that he actually spoke about in his video, that not only does he know it's emulation, which was already revealed, he's pretty sure he knows which emulator it is, and he knows why when you look at this still image that I'll show you in a few seconds of Mario Kart 64, why the Jumbotron is all jarbled up. Well, like I said, if you want to see the nitty-gritty of this, I strongly suggest you check out Modern Vintage Gamer's video. I'll have a link to it below in the description. Well, anyway, the emulator that he thinks the Ultra Retron, that's the actual name of it, is using is the Mupin 64 Plus Next. Now, why when you're in Mario Kart 64 and you see the Jumbotron, is it all jarbled up with the emulator? Well, he says with the N64, the CPU and GPU used the same RAM. It was RD RAM, I believe, that was in there, and they shared the same pool of memory. And with that, they were able to do like things with the frame buffer. What would happen is the GPU would send a specific frame back to the CPU, and the CPU would post it on the Jumbotron. That's why if you watch the N64, if you played the Mario Kart 64 and the original N64, that the frame rate of that Jumbotron is kind of choppy because you have the GPU sending back that frame to the CPU is manipulating it and making it fit on the Jumbotron, and because they share the same pool of memory, it happens very quickly, and that's why a lot of emulators can't do that properly, because it's tough to do that whole frame buffer emulation thing because the N64 is sharing the same pool of memory. I could be jarbling a little bit of that up. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how to write code, but this is what Modern Vintage Gamer says, and it was pretty interesting at what he said made sense. So why am I putting my nose up at the Hyperkin Retron Ultra? I'm sure it'll be fine, and I'm sure most people, so long as they could play Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and GoldenEye, and if Mario Kart works mostly minus the Jumbotron, they'll be okay. But I've become so spoiled with amazing products like the Retro AVS by Retro USB, that NES clone console, which uses an FPGA, and all the products from Analog. You just saw I reviewed the Analog Mega SG, which is a phenomenal Sega Genesis clone, which uses an FPGA. In my opinion, if a console is going to come out with emulation, I'll just use an emulator on my computer or on my smartphone or whatever the case may be. If you're making a piece of hardware to me, I'd rather it either be a really well done system on a chip, which is very rare, I know, or I'd rather it be an FPGA. Now, I know this product isn't intended for me, and I'm sure many people, like I said, will be happy with it, but mark my words, when they release the Retron Ultra 64, Retron Ultra, I know I changed names 67 times in this video, it's still going to have that bug where the Jumbotron in Mario 64 is still jarbled up. I guarantee it. And that, to me, when you're demoing a product you still says is in prototype, and if it's released with it, that's going to be unacceptable. But who knows? I'm speculating. They may make the emulation work flawlessly, but after I use the Retron 5, I owned one of them. I don't have high hopes. I like some of Hyperkin's products. They don't make all bad products, but their clone consoles could use a little bit of work. This is Rich at Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.